Welcome to today's video where we're going to be working on helping you to relax your pelvic floor and to release tension that you may be feeling in this area. This is a great flow to do after a workout or in preparation for labor and delivery, or just to bring some restorative relaxation to your pelvic region in general. So as I am going through this particular flow with you, you're going to note that I'm going to cue inviting space between your two sits bones. As we take our breath, especially that inhale, that is your key to helping to create more space and length throughout your pelvic floor. So bring that with you into this flow where we're going to be here on the mat. You're going to want to have a set of yoga blocks, a pillow, and a resistance band if you have it handy. If you don't have all of these props, feel free to improvise at home and follow along anyway. So we're going to get started in a seated position. I'm going to take both of my yoga blocks as kind of like a stool underneath me. And I'm going to take my pillow and I'm going to fold it and really place it right underneath my lower ribs as I fold into this deeper squat position. My hands are hugged underneath my toes here in front, and the balls of my feet are pressing into my hands to give me an anchor point. I'm then going to allow my body to round a little bit more comfortably into this position. And then I'm going to start to focus on my breath. So we're going to be here for 1 minute, taking a breath in through our nose slowly. Exhale. To release for a count of 4. As we take our breath in through our nose, breathe slowly so you can think about really expanding your breath into the back of your rib cage. Think about where your bra line usually is and improving that expansion through the back portion of your rib cage. That will start to bring more expansion through the bottom of your pelvis and into the back of your pelvic floor. As we exhale, you're going to slowly release that air out, feeling your rib cage recoiling back towards your spine. Continue to breathe in this way, inviting as much of your expansion into the back of your rib cage with your breath. Being mindful that our shoulders are not shrugging up, they're staying relaxed and away from our earlobes. One more deep breath here, taking that expansion into the back, feeling that breath travel all the way down, widening between your sits bones, and then exhale to fully let it out. From here, we're going to come into what I call a hip 90-90 position. And have your yoga blocks just off to the side in case you might need one. So in this 90-90 position, we have about a 90-degree angle in the front and a 90-degree angle here in my back leg. We want our rib cage to be able to be stacked directly on top and tall in this position. If that's difficult for you, then take a yoga block or two, and you're going to prop yourself up so that you can stack your rib cage well. From here, our stretch is going to be focused in the back leg. So we have our hip internal rotator muscles on the outside here that also help to turn the leg inward. These are really important muscles that help to create length through the pelvic floor. If we have a lot of hip tightness in this area, that makes it difficult for our pelvic floor to lengthen most fully. So as we're here and allowing this stretch for about 1 minute, I want you to bring attention to your breath. Once again, you're taking that inhale in and thinking about that expansion into the back of your rib cage to help create expansion all the way down between your two sits bones, helping your pelvic floor lengthen. And then exhale, slowly releasing that air all the way out. As you're in this position, a few adjustments that you can make. We want this back thigh to basically be almost parallel with our mat. If it's too far in front, that's not going to give us the appropriate stretch that we want. So find that helpful stretch position here and/or prop yourself up higher on more blocks if needed. Also, the angle of my knee here. If you bend that knee a little bit more, that will slacken some of the stretch if you need that, or bringing that shin a little bit more parallel with the front edge of my mat is going to intensify the stretch. Choose what feels most helpful for you. From here, now that we've done that nice long stretch, we're gonna do a little bit of an active version into this position. So we're gonna now strengthen some of those rotators so that that can help our pelvic floor lengthen. So you're gonna come off that yoga block. You're gonna come onto your forearm here. My hips are stacked. My knee is not going to move from the floor, but I'm going to inhale first, exhale, to float that top foot up off of the floor, rotating my thigh inward. And then we're gonna slowly release that foot all the way back down to the mat with control. Once again, we inhale to prepare, exhale to float that foot up as far as you can. Sometimes people might feel like they may cramp in this zone. Don't go into cramping, but come close to that zone as much as you can. And then slowly control that foot back down. A couple other things to note as you continue with your reps. Make sure that your rib cage here doesn't drop down in order to get your foot up. So make sure that that rib cage stays nice and stacked. Sometimes I'll place a hand here and guide my patients so that they can get more of that isolated rotation here without their rib cage cheating. Also make sure that your pelvis here is not rocking and rolling back and forth. We want it to stay stacked. Last one on this side. Bringing it back down and relax. Good. Now I'm gonna grab my yoga block again. We're gonna do this same series, but on the opposite side. So first, check in. See how you feel. Sometimes each side might need different things. I'm gonna bring this yoga block up just to give myself a little bit more of a supported stretch, but feel free to stay on the mat if that felt better for you. Again, we want that rib cage to be able to stack right over the pelvis. We don't wanna be shifted or leaned in any other direction. Once we're here, we wanna focus on finding that helpful stretch here in this back leg for the internal rotators. So as I'm here, now that I'm in my helpful position, again, I'm gonna focus on my breathing, drawing that breath in through my nose to help my rib cage expand most fully. For me, really thinking about breathing into the back of my rib cage, all the way down to my pelvis, feeling that space widen between my sits bones. On the exhale, I'm gonna release that air and just feel my pelvic floor gently recoil as my breath leaves my body. Continue to breathe in this way, finding more of that melt down of that back hip. Sometimes it likes to hike up. Feel free to invite that down, trying to soften and feeling that deeper stretch so that we can then strengthen into it for our liftoffs that we'll do momentarily. One more breath here. Exhale. Good, now we'll go into our liftoffs. So I'm gonna put my yoga blocks off to the side there. I'm gonna come down onto my forearm. Again, we want this thigh to stay in line with our rib cage. We're gonna inhale to prepare, exhale. Rotate that leg, that back foot up off of the floor. Hold there for a moment, slowly control it back down to the floor. Again, we inhale to prepare, exhale. To lift, come up just through the range where you can coordinate well. Inhale to slowly control it down. Keep going with your breath. Exhale to lift. Check in that your rib cage here isn't dropping down to the floor. Feel free to use a hand to help you find that for feedback. Exhale, lift, hold there. Again, checking in that our pelvis hasn't moved forward or backward, it's staying stacked. And just taking a few observations of how each side feels with these movements. If one side is particularly harder than the other, then that's good feedback for you to practice this stretch and these liftoffs more on that more challenging side for you to help balance your hip range of motion to help improve your pelvic floor flexibility. Last one here. And bring it down. Good. Our last exercise here is going to focus on our rib cage because our breathing and our rib cage rotation play a really big role in our pelvic floor and our pelvic floor's ability to lengthen and to expand. So from here, I'm going to use one yoga block as a pillow. I'm going to grab my resistance band and have it handy. And I'm going to lie on my side with my knees stacked with my yoga block in between. I'm going to take my resistance band. I want you to use something that's light because it's here just to be supportive, not something to work super hard against. And my hands are going to come straight out in front. From here, I'm going to inhale to reach my top arm forward. Exhale as I open, turn, and look to my opposite side. Holding here for a moment, and then inhale to slowly return all the way back to where I started. So we want to isolate that rotation through the rib cage, and my head is following my arms. So I'm going to again inhale to glide my top arm forward. Exhale to turn. Keeping my knees glued to the mat, hugged to the yoga blocks. And then slowly control all the way back. So again, we inhale to reach, exhale. And going slowly so you can really feel how your rib cage opens. If your range of motion is different than mine and you're not able to reach as far as I am here, that's okay. Go to where it feels comfortable for you. Find your range, and over time, you'll gain more with practice. Good, last one here. Exhale as you open, reach, lengthen, and then slowly return. Good. Now we're going to turn it over onto the other side. All right. Once again from here, taking a deep breath in, sliding that top hand forward, and then exhale to open and reach, and then slowly returning with control. So with each breath, as you inhale and then exhale to open, really keep that connection of your two legs around the yoga block to help isolate your lower half so you can get a better rotation from your upper half. That's also going to help our diaphragm be able to move better, which is going to help improve the flexibility of our pelvic floor because they work together. So when our rib cage is really restricted and we have limited rotation, that affects how well our pelvic floor can respond. Last one here. Exhale to open. So if you notice that one side is a lot harder to rotate towards for you, do more reps on that side to help not just your rib cage, but also your pelvic floor on that same side of your body. Good. So I hope that this flow helped to relax your pelvic floor, but also to bring some awareness about how our pelvic floor is connected to our hips, specifically our rotator muscles, and also how much our rib cage and our diaphragm play a really important role in our pelvic floor's ability to lengthen and relax as well. So I recommend doing this flow whenever you would like to take a moment to connect with yourself, but also as a really helpful way to bring some relaxation, especially after a harder workout, as well as whenever you are feeling a little bit more stressed too, because our pelvic floor will hold tension when we're feeling a little bit more emotionally upset as well. So feel free to use it in any of these cases. And feel free to drop any questions that you have in the comments below so I can help you further understand how to support your pelvic health. See you in the next video.